Good evening. How is everybody? I'm good. Thank you very much. I'm going to start out by telling you a little bit about my background. I started my career working for the Los Angeles Police Department. I then worked for a Los Angeles City Councilman, and then I went to work for the federal government, and I was assigned to Paris, France, the embassy in Paris, France. But before that, I was asked if I would mind taking a little detour and spending 2 to 3 months in Tel Aviv, Israel. And I said I would not mind that at all. So I had a really wonderful experience. When I was in Paris, working at the American Embassy, my husband was in the Army, and we met in Paris, France. We became engaged in Paris, France. And then he got out of the Army, and and he went back to New York, because that's where he was from. And I met him in New York when my tour was over, and we were married and drove out here to California, because for me, there's really no other place like California, and he wanted to go to school. So that's what we did. We moved out to Santa Clarita in 1973, and we moved to Canyon Country. So Canyon Country has a very special place in my heart. I think Canyon Country then was wonderful, and I think Canyon Country now is wonderful. In order to maintain our city in the manner to which we have become accustomed and to be able to afford all the great things that we want to do, we have to have a strong economic viability. And our city does that. We maintain a balanced budget with a 20% reserve to be used in emergency. And it is extremely important that we support our businesses here, because sales tax plays a big part in the way we are able to provide parks and trails and recreational activities and community centers and things like that. So I have taken an active role in not only our own business organizations out here, but regionally. I have an active role on the Regional Council for the Southern California Association of Governments. I work closely with the League of California Cities, which is made up of 480 cities. I am the vice chair of the North County Transportation Coalition. We recently formed a JPA, and I was unanimously elected as the vice chair for that. The reason I take an active role on transportation issues is because that's one of the biggest issues out here. And we need to have the money to build the roads that everyone wants to have built. Oh, gosh. Okay, well, maybe someone will ask me a question about roads and transportation.
Do we have any questions for Marsha?
Marsha.
Hi.
Stephen O'Neill. Well, I've been here a long time, and I've never seen a time when traffic wasn't the biggest discussion we're having. Mm-hmm. And I've never seen it solved. I think that the bike trail is my solution. But do you really think you'll ever get that done, or is this just a continuous project?
Do you mean the bike trails, or do you mean helping with the traffic?
Alleviating traffic congestion.
Okay, thank you for asking that. I believe that as more people move out here, obviously the roads are going to become more crowded. And in order to address that, you need to have the mechanism to build the roads that are necessary to be built. There are roads to be built. There is no doubt that at certain times of the day, traffic is really a problem. When you travel on the roads at other times of the day, it's not quite a problem. And I travel across this valley all different times of the day. In order to bring the money that you need, you have to be able to have relationships. And that is one thing that experience brings. I have relationships with those agencies that dole out the money. It's very competitive, and you have to be able to apply for that money. Having those relationships, we have invested in our city over $300 million in new roads and improvements and such. There are more roads to be built, And the dollars to do that are coming from Measure R and Measure M. And I can give you a list. If I had enough time, I would give you a list of each project and the dollars that are coming and when they're proposed to be done. So yes, we are working every day to help to solve some of our traffic issues, and that is something that we are never complacent about. Can't be complacent and just say, well, it is what it is. We work very, very hard, and that is one of my priorities as I do belong to all of these regional transportation coalitions and JPAs and such.
Same question to you. What would you do to help the seniors with the voter indebtedness and to allow the housing projects to have an allotment for senior affordable housing? Because there isn't anything in Santa Clarita.
Well, actually, there is, but I'll do the first question first. Stop voting for bonds. Every single time you vote for a bond because it sounds really wonderful, we place ourselves into debt because the interest on those bonds goes on forever and ever and ever. And not only do we, as our incomes stabilize, have to pay for those bonds, the younger generations have to pay for those bonds. So when people go to the polls and they're looking at something that sounds wonderful, just take a look at what the legislative analyst says it's going to cost all of us. So that would be my first suggestion, to do that. Regarding the affordable housing, there is something called RHNA, Regional Housing Needs Assessment, and the state sets those figures for us and tells us how many units we have to build. And unfortunately, there are not enough apartments and units to fit the need for affordable housing. And no senior should ever be turned out of their housing. And it is supply and demand. When we had the economic downturn, building stopped. So therefore, you don't have the competitiveness. As the economy is getting better, you see all this, people are alarmed at all the development, but that is going to bring more affordable housing when you have competition. So,
but there isn't. I mean, I've been to every meeting here. Okay, well.
Sorry.
Anyone have another question?
Just one question, okay, Elaine?
Another question, anybody?
Three of you are in City Council, and we had an embezzlement issue of about $500,000 in building safety. Nothing's been addressed about that, to my knowledge.
Yes, actually, that has been 100% addressed. We took that extremely seriously. We hired a firm to come in here and find out how it happened and to figure out how it will never, ever happen again. And there is a report available. It may still be on the internet, but it has been addressed because none of us can abide that. We cannot tolerate that. And unfortunately, you know, sometimes when you're a city and you trust everybody, and then they play you that way, you become very angry. And in my opinion, we have addressed it, and it will not happen again, hopefully.
So the money's been paid back?
Yes, because we have insurance for such a thing.
Okay. Has the procedures that got us into that situation been corrected?
Absolutely, 100%.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Hi, Ed.
Ed Dunn, 47 years in Canyon Country. I know that you've heard of diet roads, and I'm wondering if you people are willing to oppose the diet roads that the people are paying for in their houses. Development has to pay for you require them to build every single road to carry the load of the new development, and it's on the price of it's on the developer, and the developer puts on the price of the house, and all these people paid for it. So I'm hoping you people are going to oppose, or you could be in a position, who knows, of liability of taking something away from the people that they've paid for. Lancaster's put some of those in, and it's a disaster.
Right, you know, and they've tried to do that in other parts of Los Angeles and such, and it is not an efficient way to do things at all. You have to have accessibility accessibility to the roads that you have and not take away that accessibility. On the other hand, as well, you need to be able to build roads wide enough to accommodate bicycles and pedestrians and be able to make them safe. So I am not in favor of taking away roads.
That's really for all the council candidates. Thank you.
Another question, anybody?
Judy Tallur, Canyon Country. In the next few years, what do you think the top projects the City Council will be working on to make this a grand and glorious, better place?
Well, being a very forward-thinking city, every 5 years, we put together a plan. Right now, we're into our 2020 plan. And in that plan, we have designed an arts master plan. We are now building the Canyon Country Community Center. That is something that has long been needed because the one that we have right now is very undersized. And that community center will be able to accommodate seniors and kids and teens and the community. We are looking into building a new community center, library art center in Saugus, because right now they don't have a library, and that is something that we've heard from the Saugus community that they're interested in. So that's another thing we're doing. We have invested $50+ million in a new sheriff's station, and that is something that is extremely important for our citizens to have a centrally located sheriff's station. We fought very hard to get that in the city of Santa Clarita because the county was wanting to put it elsewhere. So in that plan, we have many different things that we are planning for into the future. I am not one to stand still. I am always looking to the future and always seeing what can be done to make Santa Clarita even better than it is today. So it's, like I said, very important to plan ahead for the future, for our families, for our children, and such. So those are some of the things that we're working on.
Thank you.
Good day.
Hi.
Douglas Fraser. My question is the same as I asked Miranda. With the term limits and the regional voting to districts, do you support that? Do you oppose that? Would you be willing to introduce that to the council for a vote? Would you be willing to have the staff conduct a poll? I, for one, agree with term limits and districts, so we've already polled one person, yes. So do you oppose, or are you in favor of that?
Well, I have a different take on it than Bill does. Being part of the League of California Cities, I see other cities, and when they have term limits, there is, like for instance, they have 2 terms, which would be 8 years. It takes so much time in order to be able to build relationships on a regional basis. You have to have inroads into what those regional organizations are. You need to be able to build credibility, and then after they trust you, you're able to bring benefits back to Santa Clarita. So no, I am not in favor of term limits, because if someone is not doing a good job, term limits are the voters. The voters will vote them out of office. I am not in favor of districts, because right now you have 5 council members who care about the entire city. And why would you want to cut that into fifths? You would have one person fighting over their own district, where right now you have 5 council members. And I personally give absolute equal representation to each one of our communities: Canyon Country, Saugus, Newhall, Valencia, and 4 communities, I'm sorry. There is not another one. But no, I am not in favor of districts or term limits.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I've been to every meeting here regarding some of the new housing projects, and there is no affordable housing. There is not an allotment for people to have affordable housing in any of these new projects. So I'm not sure, somewhere we're not communicating.
Well, we just invested $5 million into an affordable housing unit, which is just gorgeous, up on Newhall Avenue.
One.
That's not the only one. Also, we are helping to invest in a community for veterans, 78 homes, affordable homes for veterans and their families, and we were about the first ones in the country to do such a thing. I personally have gone out and raised funds when that was just a twinkle in people's eyes, to help to raise funds to get that community started. I am a very active volunteer for our senior center, personally raising funds for our new senior center and for senior center programs. So as a city, we do as much as we can. You need developers to come in and build these units. Unfortunately, Sacramento has made it so difficult for developers to build units which are affordable, because it doesn't cost the developers an arm and a leg to try to adhere to all of the state regulations that's put on them with CEQA and such. And that's the problem. As I said before, it is supply and demand. If you have a lot of units, the rents are going to come down. If developers can't build these units, they're not going to be available, and the supply is going to be less. But that doesn't mean we don't care. It's just that who is going to pay for these? I doubt it. Every single one of us wants to pay.
Thank you.
Good evening. The city has an ethics code and expects its citizens or staff to comply with this ethics code. I did a public records request and asked for a form to fill out to complain against a city staff that has been biased and unprofessional in their conduct. There is no form on the city records, so I submitted a form, but that didn't get the attention of the city staff nor the council members. How do you suppose that we can correct this problem of when a person complains about a city staff, that an investigation will take place and evidence and interviews will take place, and therefore the correction will be made?
Well, Mr. Fraser, our city manager would tell you that every time that you do turn in a public records request, it is addressed, and the law is adhered to 100%. When there is a complaint against a city employee, it goes to the city manager. The city council wisely does not deal with personnel. That is left to the city manager. And I know how many requests that you do put in, and I know that they are all answered. You may not like the answer sometimes.
Okay, the question is not public records. The question is how to correct the city staff and have a process to do the investigation.
We take our public service very seriously, and so does our manager. So if you have made a complaint, it has gone through the city manager, and it has been addressed.
Okay, I disagree with that.
Okay. You get to do that.
I think we're out of time.
Time's up.
I think we're out of time.
Look at the 15 minutes.
That's it?
Well, yeah, let's give Marsha a big hand. I know why this mic isn't working.
Hi. I'll answer your first question really. The BMX tracks is in the works. We wish we could build it today. Unfortunately, we have to kind of go by our list, but it is in the works. It is in the plans, and it will be built. That is something we're committed to. Regarding putting something on the agenda, we need to be careful that it takes 3 of us to make a decision on the city council. And this is something we can address again on the city council. But as Lorene said, we want to make sure that we don't have one person just having their own agenda and not respecting others. So that's kind of why it was gone to the 3-person to put something on the agenda. But we live in one of the safest, cleanest, best desirable places to live, work, and play. And we are a family-oriented community. And the thing that I love hearing the most is when I'm out and about is everyone enjoys still the hometown feel. We're the 3rd largest city in LA County, but we still have that hometown feel, and I always want to maintain that. Public safety is something that we're all concerned about, and I'm really proud that I am endorsed by 4 different organizations, ALADS, the Los Angeles Police Protective League, because of my background working for the police department, the Los Angeles County Firefighters 1014, and the Professional Peace Officers Association. We absolutely must maintain our public safety in our city, and that's something that we take very seriously. We have a balanced budget. Not many cities have a balanced budget. And our mantra is, you simply don't spend more than you take in. Very simple. A lot of cities don't have that. So I'm very proud of that fact. I am a full-time councilwoman. I am there for you 24/7. My phone number is listed, so anyone can call me. Don't call me really late at night, please. But anyone can call, and I answer every single email personally. And if I don't have the answer for you, I send it on. I'm hoping that you will. This is a long ballot, so I am hoping that you will take the time to read down to the end of the ballot, because that's where the city council race is. And I'm hoping that you will cast your vote for me, Marsha McLean. I will continue to do the job that I have been doing, responding to you, the citizens. You are my priority, and you come first. And I have 11 seconds. So I just want to say, please, once again, vote for me, Marsha McLean. Thank you so much.